Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of CSGO News. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. There are going to be a lot of great stories to tell all of you today, including more about FaZe Maikelele, Summit1G, and some other news stories as well. First off, I do want to thank you guys all for the great support and feedback in the comment section of my last few videos. It's absolutely awesome to see that. But as always, not going to waste your time. Let's get right into it. First off, the FaZe Maikelele story in detail, and some more things coming out later this week as well. Here's that. Now, on April Fool's or April 1st, Maikelele did tweet out this, saying he can't wait to play with his good friend CLG PETA once again. And everyone took this as Maikelele's April Fool's joke because everyone had been participating in that for April's Fool's. It was then just one day later that Maikelele tweeted out he'd officially be leaving FaZe. So everyone was kind of taken back by surprise, thinking at first it was April Fool's, and then he was completely serious about it. That same tweet got this reply from CLG's PETA indicating that CLG might be picking up Maikelele, with several other tweets coming out with the FaZe captain hanging out with the CLG team members and even repping CLG apparel. Some of those pictures actually got deleted, but we still were able to recover some of them thanks to people in my comment section. And at first, I doubted this as well. I mean, why leave a team that has such a large fan base as FaZe? And I thought maybe Maikelele tweeted that first thing out because on April Fool's because he would be playing with CLG's PETA in the upcoming NA versus EU All-Star game, which actually occurred before the grand finals of MLG Columbus. But in case you missed it, here's the lineup of that actual All-Star game versus EU and NA All-Stars. And yes, Maikelele did play, but CLG PETA was certainly not on the European All-Star roster and did not even play with Maikelele, which leads us all to conclude that there's got to be a good chance CLG will be picking up. Otherwise, there's no other reason why Maikelele would tweet that out about CLG PETA. So just to reiterate overall that news, now with FaZe Maikelele home from the U.S. tournament at MLG Columbus, he now will be announcing in a couple of days why he's actually leaving. Now, we assume he's going to be leaving. It could be very possible that he's going to, be a jokester about it and say he's going to stick with FaZe, but it's highly unlikely that's going to be done. So more than likely, he is going to be leaving FaZe. Now, as of right now, we're going to assume it's CLG. We don't know who CLG would drop. Of course, CSGO News will cover that in the future once we assess the situation in full. So I cannot wait for that statement to be released. Once that is released, there'll be another CSGO News video over that. I feel like FaZe Maikelele is getting a lot of attention over this, and again, it's because he's a great guy, funny guy, especially with that FaZe videos all about him. He seems like a great guy, down to earth, and also a great player, the CSGO team captain, and there's a lot more in the loop than just, him leaving the team. FaZe bought that team for $700,000, and it would seem that usually they'd have contracts for those players, so usually players can't leave whenever they want. They have to wait till their contract is over, so that's also another big controversy of whether this is true or not. We'll find out more about that in the future. Also in the news, we have Summit1G, who actually went to MLG Columbus, Ohio, the past week, and he said he might be getting back into pro CSGO. Just a day after MLG Columbus last week, Summit announced on Twitter that he'd be starting to take CSGO a little more seriously, and NA teams would most certainly be interested in Summit because of his not only in-game skill and experience, but also his large fan base and audience following offers a lot of benefits to any teams that are actually interested in him. And then even against that, C9's Shroud himself has to admit that Summit has what it takes as long as he can fully commit to it, which takes a lot of time. Quite some time ago, Summit1G wanted to get into an actual NA team or the NA Pro League, especially interested in the iBuyPower team that is now the ex-iBuyPower team, but the only controversy was, the only problems with that were his streaming schedule. Most professional CSGO teams, especially in the NA scene, are not going to allow you to stream your practices because it's a really dangerous thing. There are a lot of, fine lines when it comes to professional CSGO. Obviously, I don't know those fine lines myself, but there's a lot of fine lines around Counter-Strike in the professional scene with what you can actually release. You don't want your teammates, releasing all this information to your opponents, because if your opponents can see what you're doing in practices, they know exactly what you're going to do in matches. So that's always the fine line between that. Also, we don't know if there are any other issues complicating that, because obviously him being a full-time streamer, that's his full-time income. And then lastly, a really surprising story for me. I don't know if you guys are bigger CSGO fans than I am, but I really did not see Team Liquid changing up the lineup because of MLG Columbus, how well they did. They performed very, very well, finishing the 3rd, 4th place bracket. But still, for some reason, they tweeted out this morning, and here's some big news coming from Team Liquid. And Team Liquid announced just this morning by Spencer Martin, otherwise known as Hiko, that they would be replacing AdreN with Koosta, basically switching operators on the team. A big announcement, though, coming from them as they are heading to DH Malmo next week, a $250,000 tournament with $100,000 going to the winner, a huge roster change, and we'll talk more about that now. But a lot of people agreeing with this, a lot of people disagreeing with this, kind of a questionable topic. Now again, it kind of took me by surprise, this story. Of course, you did see that video. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'm going to try and link it down below. No guarantees, but there was actually a video released by esports in their app on the application on the iPhone. They released a video, an interview with AdreN. AdreN saying he wasn't sure if he actually wanted to play CSGO anymore because, he did so well. And of course, he loves playing, but he also loves to coach. He's looking for teams and has had multiple offers. That's quote unquote. AdreN said he had multiple offers from different teams that he could possibly be coaching. So that might have been why the roster change occurred, but going into DH Malmo, they're going to be playing with Koosta instead of AdreN. A lot of people are saying, oh, AdreN sucks, you know, he's not that good. He performed really well. He's a really clutch guy, obviously a really good operator in that kind of sense. And again, Koosta does not have a lot of experience, so definitely interested to see how Team Liquid actually performs in DH Malmo in upcoming tournaments. And again, a really weird roster change, but I'm sure they all have it figured out. I mean, Hiko doesn't make those kind of decisions, and the team will not make those kind of decisions without knowing the repercussions. So definitely interesting story there. Let me know in the comment down below what you guys think about that. As always, that's going to do it for this episode of CSGO News. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you guys have CSGO news that I don't know about, I would love to cover it, shout you guys out as well. Thank you all so much for the great feedback and support. As always, live, love, laugh a lot. Remember, I like you. I'll see you in a couple days with another episode of CSGO News. Wow. Whew. Goodbye.